Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
And oh boy, are you guys in for a treat today, because it is a Judd's Camp Notes edition of Purple Daily. You can't win a Super Bowl before we die if you don't start laying the bricks at organized team activities the second to last week in May, right? Organized team activities, another way of saying practice.
Yes.
The Vikings are practicing here, and Judd was out there practice with a notebook full of takes.
Indoors because of the expected rain, which actually didn't come until later in the afternoon. But it's voluntary, but attendance was outstanding. No Justin Jefferson, but a lot of the majority of the roster on hand.
Was TJ Hacketon limping around out there somewhere?
Yep.
Oh, he was?
He came out. Yep. He came out. I want to say, and again, the weird thing here too is guys can it's possible that a guy was there for day one and left for day two. I want to say I didn't see Cam Bynum, but I mean, the majority of the roster on hand. So
nice.
I'm sure Kevin O'Connell was happy about that.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's get into your camp notes here. Judd's Camp Notes, a fixture throughout the offseason on this podcast. If you want to know what's happening on the ground inside Twin Cities Orthopedic Performance Center, Judd is here with his notes. So we'll get to your entire notebook after we shout out our friends at the Meadows at Mystic, Dex.
That's right. Meadows at Mystic Lake, one of the best places to play golf in all of the Twin Cities. Whether you're like me and you're just, firing a 108, whether you're breaking 80, maybe you're flirting with that course record. Are you the guy that goes up and asks what's the course record today? You can do that at the Meadows at Mystic Lake. There's absolutely no judgment. And in fact, our app giveaway, which is going on right now on the Score North app, our friends at the Meadows at Mystic Lake are giving away one stay and play golf package for 4 each month. All season prizes include 2 rounds of golf with cart, those GPS infused cart, and 1 night stay at the Mystic Lake Casino for 4 for your chance to win. All you got to do is download the Score North app, and if you have it, you enter in that listener rewards tab. Go download to enter to win a 1 stay and play golf package with our friends at the Meadows at Mystic Lake.
Love it. All right, Judd, wherever you want to take us on this Judd's Camp Notes journey, we are passengers in your car. Let's do it.
Well, let's start off with the thing that everyone wants to know about, or if you're in the building watching the practice, that you
Will
are
Riker, the kicker,
an eye on. And he looks fantastic. He looks like he's about 12, but that's okay. He's a young man. No, it would be the quarterback competition, or at least the quarterback situation. Competition might not be the right word right now, so I'm going to call it the quarterback situation. And it includes 4 players: Sam Darnold, Nick Mullens, J.J. McCarthy, that's right, and Jaren Hall. 4 quarterbacks in camp. Now, let's go through how they were being used, okay? Because I am very reluctant to, start talking in terms of depth charts yet. So, this was day 2 of OTAs. Coward. It's the second practice, but it was interesting that when they began 7-on-7s, that's right, go time, 7-on-7, that the reps went Sam Darnold, Nick Mullens, Sam Darnold, over to J.J. McCarthy.
Okay.
And then we went to team, and Jaren Hall got the first reps there. What was also intriguing was when they did split into team, they split the field in half. So one side going one way, the other going towards the other end zone. And in those situations, it was Sam Darnold and Nick Mullens paired together to run an offense that had the first teamers and the veterans. And then the other way, it was McCarthy and Jaren Hall working with rookies and young players, guys that are probably, in most cases, long shots, in some cases, to make the roster. So my column, J.J. McCarthy falling behind Nick Mullens on Vikings quarterback depth chart. Exactly right. So if you want me to surmise this for you, What we have is Darnold and Mullens, the top two yesterday, and then McCarthy 3, Jaren Hall 4. But this also follows through on what the process was promised to be, which is they are not going to rush a thing when it comes to JJ McCarthy. Yeah. As I told you in my prediction on Write That Down, I will not be surprised if McCarthy shows progress at all, which I think they expect. I will not be surprised if Nick Mullens gets traded in training camp at some point to a team that is desperate for a quarterback, a backup, just like the Vikings were when they got Mullens from the Raiders.
So this is all just protecting J.J. McCarthy. We're starting him off at level 1. If this is Madden, we're playing on the rookie level. Mm-hmm. We're going to pick out the worst team. I used to play Tecmo Super Bowl back in the day. Let's play the Phoenix Cardinals 1991 crappy roster just to get some feel-good reps, right? I mean, they're starting him off at level 1. Take it easy, study the playbook, be able to spit out the plays, all that stuff. What we're seeing now has nothing to. It's not like a referendum on where he's at. This is just step 1, first full team practice.
Yes, this is a very, I think, carefully crafted plan that has been in place, and I think the same plan would have been in place for Drake May. So I don't think it's like the JJ McCarthy plan. I think it is the young quarterback plan. Now let's drill down on McCarthy's day.
Okay.
Because while O'Connell wants to, and he's right, remove the pressure, Zolgad has no interest in that. No.
I mean, if I remember, Kevin O'Connell sort of scolded you for charting throws at the rookie minicamp.
And I did it again. I did it again. Oops, I did it again. And I'm coming at you with stats this time, okay?
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Sorry, Kevin, if you're consuming this right now.
We still want to get you on the show. I'm trying.
I'm
working behind the scenes. Kevin, we want you on the show. And look, you're doing a great job of serving the agenda that you need to serve. My responsibility is to the Purple Daily family. And now they're saying, give me the stats, sports.
What was his completion percent? What was his average yards per attempt? Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that I can't tell you, but I can tell you this. 7 on 7 on the day. McCarthy 7 for 8.
Ooh.
Team drills. So, and again, this is with backups. Team drills. 9 of 10.
Wow, dude.
Now let me give you the 2 incompletions. Similarities about the 2 incompletions.
Oh my God.
Just a slight wave.
This is so getting aggregated across Vikingsville.
Yeah, well, and you know what? I'm not going to tell you not to.
Is that last 90 seconds going to be on social media later?
And I'm not going to tell you not to.
That already is.
Unlike my dear friend Darren, you know what? Go ahead. Aggregate it. I don't care. So anyway, the 2 similarities in the incompletions were this. Both overthrows. Okay?
So he's being too aggressive. He's too...
I'm okay with that.
No, I think
receivers are slow.
No. I think his footwork's not right yet.
Yeah.
So what's very clear in watching him, as I try and find a safe place for the flag here, what's very clear about watching him is this. One, this dude has an arm. Like, there's some serious zip on the ball. I told you that after the rookie camp. I am reasserting that. Like, this kid has an arm. What he also has, and what the Vikings are working on, is some footwork issues. Mm-hmm. Like his footwork, for instance, just a real football thing. In the shotgun at Michigan, I'm not sure how he set, but he did not set with his left foot forward. And the Vikings, he's obviously a right-handed quarterback. The Vikings want him left foot forward in shotgun, okay? So that's like a new work in progress.
Who said is KOC like being open about that
Phillips,
stuff? Or?
The offensive coordinator talked about it yesterday.
That's interesting. Okay.
And that might be it for Wes. I don't know, but thank you, Wes, for that. But yeah, so what they're doing is they're trying to help him out or get him to where they want him footwork wise, and I think that is causing overthrows at times. You also can see, and again, this all makes perfect sense, his head is swimming at times. So, like, he's trying to process the offense, and I also think he's trying to process doing the right thing from a fundamental standpoint.
Yeah.
And so it's really intriguing to watch. And again, if you watch this logically like that, this is why you can't hurry a kid. This is why, like, the whole, well, why can't he play week 1? Because he's not where they want him. And they can't, if you turn him loose right now, like if you put him in September 8th and say, close enough, okay? He's going to be thinking about that. Yeah. Think about how much that slows you down in a league where you have no time to slow down. So this is all why it's a work in progress.
Yep. I think the mechanic stuff it's like hard for like us mere casuals to really wrap our heads around, but it's the type of stuff that he's going to have to repeat day after day after day. And you can't just kind of throw him in half baked into a week 1. And that's where going back to the beginning of the show here, where you were talking about the reps for Nick Mullens. If he's not ready to start, I don't think he should be the primary backup necessarily either in week 1 or week 2, because like one hit and now you're in, even though you're not ready. Yes. So if they trade Nick Mullens, let's say he's not really ready to come out of the football oven until the bye week or something, which is totally fine. Jaren Hall would be the sacrificial lamb backup.
That's my guess.
Not that he's like fully ready either to be out there.
No, but you don't care as much.
Yeah. Sorry, Jaren, get out there. Give it your best, right?
He played. He's not great. I'm just thinking from an organizational standpoint. If Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah can get a draft pick for Mullens when he right now has only 4 for 2025, I think they might trade him. I don't think they're going to keep 4. And so the question is, do you keep Hall and try and sneak him through to the practice squad? Quarterbacks are weird. Like, teams will claim them. So I do think that there's a decision to be made there. But yeah, McCarthy comes down to, you are working on so much right now. And I mean, hell, if his fundamentals were perfect and it was just playbook stuff, this is a complex. I mean, Kirk Cousins talked about that, and that dude had played for a long time.
Yep.
So like, there's a lot of things to process here. Now I do have some good news when McCarthy does play. Because
you mean, like, is it better news than him going 16 for 18 in
that was great.
The 7-on-7 and team drills?
Yeah. That was great. But I do have some good news.
Clickbait headline already for this episode.
Don't sleep on what I'm about to tell you here, okay? So when he does play, my guess is he's not going to be completely polished yet. Like, there's going to come times where he has to process things. He took off a couple of times yesterday. I don't think taking off is going to be a problem. Now, you don't want him to get hit. But, with Kirk, it was always sort of dicey, right? It was always sort of like, ooh, boy, how's that going to work? J.J. McCarthy has the athletic ability to run and move out of the pocket.
The clips I saw, it's someone that, the Vikings Twitter account put out, and we saw us at Michigan too, so it wasn't a surprise.
Don't forget our account as well, Declan, because
and of course the
Sports
Score North
Dad
account
was sending AJ clips to put on the Score North. I prefer to go to Score North.
Me and AJ we're shooting the bleep about all the videos over the last 4 or 5 years that Judd sends during camp notes, so I'm well aware of the
very important,
videos.
Very important to the brand.
Well aware of it. But what I think is impressive, and we'll see if this can translate, because I think it's easier to do this in college football, obviously, than it is in the NFL. Throwing on the run, like I feel like all the big J.J. McCarthy plays are him rolling out and making just a dart throw off his back foot, rolling out and throwing on the run. So he can obviously take off, but I'm curious to see if those type of plays can still exist for him in the NFL.
I bet they can. Yeah. But and the nice thing too is he has more athletic ability probably than he gets credit for. I also was texting last night with our good friend Thor Nystrom, because he was checking in on his son, and because he was excited about it, and I don't blame him. He's the original J.J. McCarthy driving the stock up guy. But he told me he thinks that he either knows or thinks that the footwork stuff is the one thing that Michigan didn't get to. So
they didn't smooth out. Basically.
They didn't really smooth it out. So this is not surprising.
Okay. So some good signs, some good. It's all just early groundwork being laid here, but If you were to come on here and say, yeah, he threw 18 passes, he went 5 for 18 with 4 pick sixes, I think we'd be like, ugh.
Yep.
Avoiding a train wreck is more meaningful than having a great performance in 7-on-7.
And with that arm, I can only imagine the crossing routes to Justin Jefferson. Because if he makes the anticipatory throws with that arm, you're going to see some catch and run.
Yeah. Are you saying too, just on the moving out of the pocket, that he's maybe even more speedy and athletic than you originally thought?
I didn't know what to expect. Like the college film looked like the stuff that we saw looked good, but seeing it live, the mobility aspect is definitely a plus.
Yeah. So wow, gonna need a cold shower after that update right there.
It's barely
Vikings
halftime
fan.
right now. It's barely halftime.
Well, before we get to the rest of your, assuming a lot of non-JJ McCarthy stuff is coming here.
QB1's coming up.
Okay, we'll get to some Sam Darnold here. After we shout out our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company, friends, as a business owner, and there are many of you business owners out there who consume Purple Daily, and we appreciate you. Do you have a game plan in place to stay focused on safety and preventing claims? You can let the team at Federated support your business in this regard. Federated offers a customizable lineup of industry-specific coverages and risk management services to help you continue your winning streak as a business owner. At Federated Mutual Insurance Company, it's our business to protect yours. Find out more at federatedinsurance.com. Also, it's lake season, baby. Aquaside is here to help clean things up, Dex.
Yeah, I got the in-laws. They're heading up to the cabin this weekend for Memorial Weekend, and I don't know if they get that dock in, or maybe you're heading to get up to the cabin and you haven't gotten that dock in, and you've been neglecting taking care of the bottom of that lake forever now. Our friends at Aquaside can help you diagnose what's going on in there. They can help you remove it with their Aquaside pellets. Safe products, too. Register with both the EPA and DNR, and shipping is free on their website. You can go to aquaside.com to learn more. Go to aquaside.com to learn more.
All right, let's dig in here. The rest of Judd's camp notes.
All right, let's talk Sam Darnold.
Yes.
Now to be clear here, with the way that we're positioned when watching practice indoors, I basically saw all of McCarthy's practice because they were coming at us. Darnold, when he and Mullens would split off with first team guys and team drills, were going the opposite way. So unfortunately, I couldn't track as much of Sam as I could of JJ. Yet all of the 7-on-7s that we saw, I believe, came towards us.
Okay.
So I tracked Darnold in 7-on-7 as being 9 of 12. One of those incompletions was actually a heater that went off the hands of Josh Oliver and could have been picked. I would not pin that on Darnold as much as the fact that the catch was not made, which, of course, does raise questions about Oliver's sort of role in the passing game, minus Hacketon. But Darnold, you know what? I'm very curious here. I don't think he's going to be a star. I don't think he's going to be great. But especially like in his post-practice press conference, there's a lot of perspective there now. He's going into year 7. He gets it. It's been rough. I think I do think sitting on the bench in San Francisco helped a lot because I think it allows you to because he went from the Jets to the Panthers. And so being on the bench in San Francisco, he didn't play, but there's just a certain stability there. And Darnold seems to have a very, very good idea of like where he's at. I did ask him a question. I said, what are things about being a highly drafted quarterback that the general public just can't understand? Like and his response was, how much time you got? And I said, all the time in the world, I ask the question. And he gave an answer, but you can just tell that there's a lot of scar tissue there, but I'm not sure that's the worst thing given the situation he's being placed into, which there is no question. I think that there is a hope and an expectation that he is going to help McCarthy. This is not going to turn into an adversarial situation. Yes, it can be a competition. But I think the signing of Darnold, as far as his personality goes, the more I see him now, was pretty well thought out from a demeanor aspect as well.
Yeah, because that's a really interesting dynamic in that he turns 27 years old in 2 weeks. June 5th, 1997, he was born. So he's not even really that old in quarterback years. He could,
and he said that too.
Right, but so
like,
there's
I'm not that old.
That's the thing. There's this dynamic of like he's already deemed a bust based on where he was drafted, even though we've gone over. That Jets team and infrastructure that drafted him is among the worst in the last 20 years in terms of teams looking for a quarterback to save their franchise. They gave him not only zero help, they actively sabotaged his first 2 or 3 years in the NFL. It's hard to come back from that when you don't get to lay the bricks that maybe J.J. McCarthy is going to get to lay. And so that, like, you kind of answered part of my question, which is he's still pretty young. He's still really talented. He probably still thinks he can be a starting quarterback in the NFL. He can still sling it around if you give him the right pieces around him, right? Does he understand, though, that this is just a launching pad for, like, if he's going to be those things, it probably isn't going to be here because it's a one-year contract?
Yes.
And is he okay with that dynamic?
It feels like the answer is yes. I think the Vikings and O'Connell in particular probably sold him on this is one hell of an opportunity to audition. And I need you to be a good sport about it. You know, we do not want a quarterback who is paranoid. We do not want a quarterback who expects to start and shoves the young guys out the door, or who perhaps tells teams not to draft a young guy because I'm the starter here, damn it. And I think Darnold gets all that. So yes, I think that this is very much two sides coming together for a common good, but they're going to go their separate ways. And, you know, hell, you've got Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, a run game that appears that should be improved as long as the coach is dedicated to it. TJ Hawkinson coming back at some point. Like, what better way to get in an infrastructure, especially after a year, to get some perspective in San Francisco, than to come here, thrive, but know that that's probably going to be it. But then you go to market, and now you get a 3-year contract.
Yeah.
So I think everybody knows the price of poker here.
Yeah. So interesting, man. What an interesting dynamic. And I still say, if Sam Darnold plays the whole year and plays really well, I mean, there is a universe that I would like to see Sam Darnold's career play out within this system year one and see what happens. I mean, obviously, J.J. McCarthy is the quarterback of the future, but I personally am really intrigued to see what a former top 5 overall pick who got screwed upon entry to the NFL looks like with an actual competent structure around him.
Yep.
So, okay. Judd's camp notes on fire right now.
Yeah, we're going to switch sides of the football right now. We're going to take a timeout, and we're going to go to some defensive notes.
Let's do it.
All right. So, as I told you, and this is not the headline, but I did not see Cam Bynum there or taking part in drills. Interesting to note, the first team safeties then, and from what I saw, and again, I didn't see, it was hard to watch all of the first team defensive stuff, but from what I saw when they were on my end of the field, the safeties, they did use 3 a lot again. Harrison Smith, Josh Metellus, not surprising, and the other true safety with Harrison Smith, Theo Jackson.
Yes!
Theo Jackson.
I had to write that down prediction 1 hour ago that Theo Jackson would make Judd's camp notes today.
Oh, yeah, I love Theo Jackson. He's a good
go.
player.
He
He's a good
is.
player.
I know.
He's a good player. You know what?
He's higher up than Lewis Seen on that depth chart for 2 years.
I can't deprive the Purple Daily crowd of what they need to know because I fear write that down predictions coming off the board.
No, and it's not meant to be a demeaning prediction to you. It's like you highlighted Theo Jackson last year, and I was looking for a fun way to make a Judd Camp Notes prediction. I didn't even have to do. I had a couple like tee up questions in the works too to try and coax the point out of you. I was going to be like, "Hey, how'd Lewis Seen look?" And maybe you would take the backdoor entry. But I've
got that now too.
Served it right up.
I've got that. So it appears that Andrew Booth and Seen are pretty buried on the depth chart. I'm wondering if either of them make the team. Again, I'm going to go back to, I think Booth will ultimately. I think Scene has a very good chance of being cut. There was a Jaren Hall pass in team drills yesterday, and Scene was working with the younger players and the backups that he just simply dropped a sure pick. It's just, it just doesn't feel like it's working. The Vikings have all of these sort of instinctive, really smart, savvy safeties. And then they have Scene, who I think is an athlete, but I don't know, man.
It's what a weird, I get that he did break his leg in half early in his career, but it doesn't seem like that's the reason why he's not an NFL player. It's crazy to say that because the guy broke his leg.
I know. I agree completely.
I don't know, man.
I agree completely. And his place in drills and on if you were to try to make a depth chart right now, all sort of reflects what you just said.
Yeah.
And I think, everyone gave the rookie season as the compound fracture plus the Ed Donatel effect of he doesn't know what he's looking at. And then when Brian Flores got here, I think there was even more, let's see how Brian Flores uses Lewis Scene. He's probably going to evaluate him and use him more, right? And when Brian Flores said, this guy is not worth it, I think the writing was on the wall, unfortunately, for Lewis Scene's career.
Wouldn't you love to get unfiltered Brian Flores off the record? What do you think of Lewis Scene?
Yeah.
I don't think he would trash the kid, but
he certainly wouldn't have drafted him or recommended him.
Yeah, or he would have been wrong, I guess, if he did.
But I come with some good news. I come with some good news from the defensive side of the football, and that is Shaq Griffin had an interception yesterday.
Okay.
The veteran coming in, it looks like the corners. Shaq Griffin's definitely going to be outside. I think Byron Murphy Jr. now goes inside full time.
Yeah.
And then that other cornerback spot is more up for grabs. Blackman, I think, will compete there for sure. Evans probably competes there. That's to be determined. But I think Shaq Griffin is the only boundary corner, if you will, who would have to lose the job right now.
That's fair.
If he doesn't start, I think it'd be disappointing to the Vikings.
That's fair. Yeah. So Byron Murphy Jr. has just not, PFF kind of hates him. The eye test has not been great to him either. Who would be their next slot cornerback that they would try if it just doesn't work with Byron Murphy? Would you move like Mekhi Blackman to a slot role?
Play the slot. Yeah, I think Blackman can play the slot, and Evans then would be on the boundary. Yeah, yeah, I think that would be the answer. But the thing is, their investment in Murphy, they're going to give him every chance now. And I think now they're going to say, well, we asked him to do a lot last year because he played on the perimeter at times and then would go inside. So I think he's going to get a long opportunity here to it'd be 8 games in. And if he's not performing well or something like that.
Yeah.
Because that slot role in and of itself is its own position.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing is, if you ask a guy, there's very few players. I think you got to be a really smart player and a really good player to start outside and then go inside and then move back outside when you're out a nickel.
It is hard.
So
yeah, and plus all of the different crossing routes, mesh concepts as they call them. You're constantly just sifting through traffic and screens, and and you have to be oftentimes blowing up run plays and tackling.
It's a hybrid linebacker role. I mean, what made Antoine Winfield Sr. so special was he was a small guy too. I've never seen a guy play that inside slot like that dude did.
Yep.
At least with the Vikings.
So, okay, what else is left in Judd's?
Oh, there's more left here. There's more meat on this bone. Andrew Van Ginkel not practicing because of the foot injury he suffered late in the season with the Dolphins. I forget if it was a Liz Frank fracture or not, but he was hurt late in the season. I think he had actually played in I think it might have been the last regular season game, and he had played in the entire regular season, but then he got hurt late. Might have missed the playoff game against the Chiefs. He is still out. I'm hoping he comes back at some point here because I'd be very curious to get a preview of he's going to be a guy that they move around as well. Dallas Turner and Van Ginkel, I think, are your two chess pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, they're two guys that you will 100%.
Grenard, I think, is going to rush the passer.
Yeah.
But Van Ginkel and Turner, I think, can be your, hey, he's here, now he's there. What are you going to do about that?
Yeah. He's here. He's there. He's every bleeping where. Roy Kent.
All right.
Ted Lasso fans out there.
I got a couple more for you. I never saw Ted.
Oh, I
Dawn
really
saw
think
the first
you would enjoy
year.
it.
She liked it a lot.
You might think it's a little corny, but
Yeah, I mean, I was late to it, and I binged like all 3 seasons, and because the third one's the most recent one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. And I binged that third as it was coming out, but I got the first 2 in beforehand. And this is maybe me sipping my haterade. I thought it was good, and there's some great moments in the show, but like for the hype it got, I didn't think it lived up to the hype.
wow.
I didn't think it did.
Well, by the last year,
I thought it
was really
exceeded
hyped.
the hype. Personally, it's a great show.
Okay. All right.
It's my camp notes on Ted Lasso.
I like it. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. All right. Next thing to get to, also from offensive coordinator Wes Phillips' appearance at the podium yesterday. It was interesting that he was asked about the signing in the last couple weeks, I think it was, of veteran tight end Robert Tonyan, who now has done the complete NFC North tour. And he did directly bring up the fact that they feel that he can play, probably not as well, I'm saying that, not him, some of the roles that Hawkinson plays until TJ gets back.
Yeah.
So I think Tonyan has a pretty good chance to make the 53. Now, he might not stick there, and once Hawkinson comes back, it could change. But they definitely are. I think what they're concerned about is this. Josh Oliver's a blocker.
Mm-hmm.
As much as they like Johnny Munt, and I mean, he's my guy because I discovered him. Johnny Munt is ideally a third tight end. Like, I don't think he's a guy that you're like, well, Hawkinson's out, let's give Munt a chance. So, right or wrong, I think Tonyan's going to get the first chance to really be the receiving target tight end that Hawkinson excels at. And I also think that they don't know exactly when TJ is going to come back.
Yep. I think Tonyan is going to be an off-season practice body. I don't know that you're going to see him like on the active game day roster. He could barely get on the field last year. He's 30 years old. At one point, not that long ago, maybe 4 years ago, he had like 11 touchdowns. He's a big red zone target for Aaron Rodgers, but they're bringing him in, I think, as insurance and a guy that can take reps and at least like be a veteran who can catch some passes in practice. But I guess I'd be a little surprised if he's out there getting like 30 snaps in week 1 against the Giants.
Oh, so, yeah, I don't think that. But I do think that they're smart enough not to rely on Munt to play a role that he can't possibly play.
Yep.
Probably a pup candidate, Hawkinson.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yes. Very much so. Very much so. I bet we don't see him until about week 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can't come off the pup until after week 6. Is that correct? I think it's
around
6
week
games
6.
you have to miss.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you aren't brought off the pup at that point, you're done for the year. I believe that's still the rule. So, yes.
Yeah, he'll be back at some point, but there's no reason to go crazy rushing him.
Yeah. All right. My last note, special teams, because it's 1/3 of the game of football, okay?
I mean, not really.
Matt,
it's like a sixth of the.
well, you sleep on special teams. You know,
no,
what
like if you
happens
add
when
up
a
the
team
snaps,
loses?
like it's not even. It's
one
like
third of the game.
1/10.
Coaches and Zolgad here, we love our special teams. To hear Matt Daniels, and we discussed this briefly on our Purple Daily. Write that down as well. To hear special teams coordinator Matt Daniels talk about the new kickoff rules was super, super intriguing. One thing that he brought up that I hadn't thought of, but it makes perfect sense, is that there might be the potential to use players who don't get used as much on special teams because they're tired on the kickoff return, on the kickoff coverage unit, because you've eliminated the 25 yards they have to run.
Yeah.
So like he brought up Ivan Pace. Now Pace plays a ton on defense, and he's a guy that you probably wouldn't say get out there and cover the kickoff, right?
It's just an extra play though.
But the 25 yards is gone.
Yeah, you're not gassed. That's a great take.
I didn't think about that, but that's a great take. And then on the return side, he brought up the fact that you could actually now that there might be there might be a possibility that you could use 2 return guys instead of 1 primary return guy. The only thing they're a little bit concerned about there from like when we talk about could you use a starter there now because it's going to be a completely different play. The only thing that they are expressing concern about is because there's going to be returns now, and like for the last 5 years, there basically have not been returns. The injury risk is going to go up for the returners.
Okay. Yeah.
So they're a little bit concerned about, if we use Ty Chandler on a return and he's also playing running back and he gets nicked up. And I hadn't thought about that possibility, but they are basically having to rethink. And it's going to be
crazy.
Great. They're rethinking the kickoff completely from both ends. And it's actually going to be interesting to watch in training camp, those drills now, because it's now, at least for the year experiment, it's a viable play. Hasn't been.
It is. Yeah, it'll be. My guess is you're going to want more running back types that are kind of shifty because it's not like the previous iteration of the kickoff where if you had straight line speed, you're just looking for a gap, right? Like it's 11 dudes running this way and it's like it's kind of spread out warfare. This is much more mirroring an actual NFL running play.
Yes.
And so you're going to need running backs that are a little bit shiftier, can make cuts, I think, to get through that initial crowded space. Mm-hmm. So there's less space, but if you can get past it, obviously you have a full pasture. So very interesting.
I think Wongwu still fits that.
Yeah, because he obviously has a running back background.
Yeah.
So, wow. A good OTA sesh here of Judd's camp notes. Mm-hmm.
I am tuckered.
We covered all 3 phases right there, folks. I don't know what more you could ask for.
Exactly right.
So, more camp notes on the way. We got OTAs, mandatory mini camp on the horizon between now and sort of the first week in June. And if there's anything else you want Judd to keep his eye on with those field goggles, those binoculars, you can send notes in, send tweets at him. Hey, Judd, what's happening with this battle over here? Blake Brandel over there.
Yep.
He can keep us posted.
Exactly right. And I will continue to chart JJ McCarthy's every move.
Yeah, Kevin.
Nothing's going to stop me.
Daily Vikings entertainment here. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. We'll see you tomorrow.